Today, we're headed to the wonderful world of Northern Ontario in Canada. We'll be flying on board Air Canada Rouges' largest aircraft. It's winter now, so bundle up and grab a toque. It's time to head north.
Good morning and welcome back to another video, and welcome back to Toronto Pearson Airport Terminal 1. Well, I think it's been about over a year since we flew out of this terminal, and today we'll be flying on the largest aircraft under the Air Canada Rouges banner for a flight to Thunder Bay on the other side of the province. The flight is set to depart at 6:45, so come along as we go from A to B. Let's start by dropping off the bag, maybe grabbing a coffee and warming up. It's pretty chilly out here, so let's go ahead and do that first.
Well, I was back in Toronto for a week at this point, and was at the tail end of a little cold, as you may have noticed. The soggy, damp winter weather didn't help too much in this regard. It's all part of the winter experience, I guess. Anyway, the terminal had a healthy bustle to it this early morning with the remaining year-end travelers. It's safe to say YYZ is fairly busy in the AM, and we'll see that there's 16 flights departing within the first hour from this terminal alone. Baggage drop-off was quick and easy, as it generally is, and although not completely necessary this day, I used the priority line as I finally returned to status with Air Canada after a year's hiatus. One thing that I should mention is that Air Canada has a baggage size check for carry-on wheeled suitcases before you get to security. If the bag doesn't fit, it'll have to be checked. And here we are back in the domestic side of Terminal 1. And looking back on my notes, the last time I made a video from here was way back in 2022 for another intraprovincial flight to Ottawa on the new A320. Today we'll be departing from gate D45 right at the end of the terminal. And here's our A321, which would take us to Thunder Bay. And behind you can see the portion of Terminal 1, which is used for the international, non-US destinations. It was about 5:20 in the morning now, so there was still some time to kill. It's funny how waking up super early for a flight is no problem, and much easier than a day at the salt mines. Anyway, this end of the airport has a few options for breakfast. So the question is, which one to choose? Well, A&W ended up being the winner. Are the bacon eggers better than the McMuffins? Well, I'll let you decide. This morning, we'll be in seat 18A, the window seat of the emergency row. And almost every flight on this trip I sat in the emergency row, so I became well versed in the emergency briefing. I particularly chose this seat for the infinite legroom it provides. I should point out that 18F, you'll have the CA seated in front of you for takeoff and landing. And in the other emergency row, row 31, they will be seated in front of 31A. Air Canada has 33 A321-200 aircraft in their fleet. 16 fly under the mainline brand, and 17 fly under Rouge. Our 6-year-old plane first flew for the now defunct WOW Airlines before being picked up by Rouge. There are two layouts for Rouge's A321s, seating either 196 or 184 passengers over two classes. One can easily tell which layout their aircraft is by the placement of the lavatories. With 3 lavatories at the rear of the plane, we can safely identify that we're in the more dense 196-seat version. It's an hour, 52 minutes gate to gate on this flight to the other side of the province. The Air Canada Rouge cabin is laid out in your standard 3-3 layout with rows 12, 18 through 21, and 31 of economy marketed as preferred seating, providing up to 4 inches of extra legroom. The cabin is illuminated with a healthy blue LED glow. The dark gray seats are fairly comfortable, and the easily adjustable maroon headrest did its job well this flight. The seat back has a literature pocket, device mount, and USB charging port on top. Below is the tray table. These ones are locked because it's the emergency row. and a pocket with a safety card and Air Canada Bistro menu. In addition to the USB port, there is also an outlet between the seats, or under the seat in my case. And this is the main difference between the other aircraft which fly under Rouge, as they have no in-seat power. Seat pitch in economy is 30 inches, plus a few more for preferred seating. Note that in the emergency row, nothing can be stored under the seat, even my seat back way over there. And more on this in the next video. And above you have access to the reading light and air control. Air Canada offers Wi-Fi, an Inflight streaming service, and live TV for a few channels. However, I wasn't able to connect to none of them on this flight, and I'm unsure whether the problem was on my end or theirs. I suggest to download the app for your trip, as it's easy to access what's available. Like we saw with American, Air Canada has a bag tracker now built in, useful if you have one or more connections. And as always, I take the opportunity to invite new viewers to subscribe for continued aviation and travel-related content. The Toronto Thunder Bay route is kind of funny when it comes to the in-flight service. Depending on the aircraft, it may be offered. With jet aircraft, it's an hour 52 gate to gate, which falls just under the 2-hour mark. But when the Q400 is used, the in-flight menu may be offered. So, as good as the petit déjeuner selection looks, we'll unfortunately have to wait for another flight to give it a go. But there was a standard drink service, so for today, it's Biscoff and orange juice. And here's a look at one of the lavatories. I thought the cloud design and purple glow was a nice touch. It was fairly clean, less for that tissue on the floor. And as we begin to descend, it's time to say bye to the sun for a bit, as it has yet to rise on the ground, and you'll see how dark it is once we land. Overall, this was another good, easygoing flight, except for the issue with the IFE. Rouge was originally conceived as a holiday airline branch of Air Canada with flights to the Caribbean, Florida, Europe, and so forth. However, there is no discernible difference in price, service, or routes flown. The only difference I can think of is the interior of the plane. The check-in and overall ground experience seems to have settled down from the chaotic summer mess. The addition of the bag tracker on the AC app is good to have. The cost of this one-way flight came up to $230. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you ever flew on Air Canada Rouges, and I'll catch you in the next episode down in the States.
Welcome to Thunder Bay. The local time is 8:19 a.m. Please remain seated with your seatbelt fastened and your personal items stowed until the seatbelt sign has been turned off.